Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Adjudicators, Chairperson, Timekeeper, my beloved opponent, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Nafisha Faiza Marsha Aurum from Senior High School 1 of Sukabumi City as the first speaker of government team. So, our motion today is, this House would arrange students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. As the first speaker, firstly, I would like to explain our motion today. Arranging students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age means that we encourage students to give their best performance on study. The ones who make their best will be arranged in the first class, and the lower level will be in a second class, the third class, and so on, based on their achievements without considering the age factor. But first, I would like to limit our topics today only in pandemic situation. We already know that nowadays the world is suffering from coronavirus disease, and absolutely one of the sector that we have to save is educational sector. Mostly, students lose their spirits of study because they only study at home. So that the government released a way to make up their spirits on study, matched with our whole motion today. This House would arrange students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age only in pandemic situation. And we 100% agree with that motion. For our arguments, I would like to explain them in first, educational point of view, second, society point of view, and third, health point of view, while my partner as the second speaker will explain from another point of view, and the third speaker will encourage our arguments, then make a summarize. So, without any further ado, let's into the arguments. Ladies and gentlemen, seen from educational point of view, we can increase the spirits of study from students. Why? By arranging students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age means that we create a competitive situation and also upgrade it into a higher level. This way, students will upgrade their spirits and manage their time to study better. They will stop laying in bed, playing phone, and waste their time. They will start reading much school books, doing more exercise, and having that mental of competitors. That way, in the end of the day, we will see the better progress of their study. I will take a very common case as a fact and example. Most of the teachers say that during the pandemic, students are feeling way lazier than usual. Most of the tasks given by the teacher are turned in late, or even the tasks are not done by them. This why, once again, we need to arrange students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. Ladies and gentlemen, secondly, I would like to explain in society point of view. Most of smart students are in their comfort zone if they are put in their original class that is arranged based on their age. They will feel like they are smart enough to be in that class, and the circle of society will only be about, well, I feel really comfortable being friend with this person named A because we have the same personality. They won't be ashamed for their circle of society. But once we arrange them based on their academic level, each of that person in that circle will try their best to be the smartest in that circle of society. What about the lower class? Well, absolutely. They will also study harder day by day and make up and build up that mantle of competitors so that they can move to the smarter circle of society or even be in the smartest circle of society. That way, the progress of their learning will become better even during the pandemics. Third, health point of view. We are quarantined at home as long as this pandemic, but some of the students are not obeying the rules. They hang out with their friends out of home. Of course, this will increase the possibility of the spreading virus. By arranging students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age, we can make them stay at home to study harder and get the highest level of classroom. I will take students in my neighborhood for example. They are not doing the quarantine, but they hang out almost every day with their friends. And if the teacher asked them, they will only say, "We're bored." So that we went hanging out. By doing this such a thing, we need this motion as a solution for health point of view in education. So, based on the arguments that I have given above, I am totally agree with our motion today that this house would arrange students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. Only this pandemic. Thank you.
Panels, first thing first, what we have to know is that what is the purpose of education itself, right? So, what is the education purposes? It is to prepare their kids, their students, to survive in this dog-eat-dog world, in this cruel world, right? So therefore, they will get a job vacancy that fits into them and that is promising and that is also giving them a wage, an enough wage for them to live on, right? So what we gotta do is that we have to check out that every single students are ready to get out of the school, right? And we think what is happening nowadays is so backlashing towards the idea of education itself. Where in status quo, we can do all of that because all of them are mixed in one place, and some of them might be catfishing this school because we would never know the capability, their pure capability at the end of the day when we release them, right? Furthermore, when all of them are mixed in one place, therefore, teacher won't be able to deliver the materials equally because there will be a difference of capability in their literacy skills, right? Therefore, it won't be delivered equally towards all of the students in a school, right? So understand, we think that all of the things that happen in the status quo are so problematic. First thing first, school fails to also prepare the students when it is backlashing the idea of education itself. When we can check out their progression, and also we cannot deliver the materials, right? And secondly, the students' rights of getting to know the materials would be violated at the end of the day, right? Because why? Because students have a right to get an education, to get know about the materials, to get know about the curriculum that have been set by the government, right? And thirdly, we have to know that there will be a disparity between all of these students when they are mixed in one place. There will be there will be someone that is smarter than other one. There will be something like a pressure. There is something like it makes them become having an insecurity, which this kind of things would also bother the process of education when they also would be bothered by that, and they won't be also getting knowing about the curriculum itself, right? And then what are we going to do in the government side of the house is that we would make an exams every single year as usual, right? But what is differentiating the system between the old one is that we are going to do is that after the exams, students would be put into a class where they're going to fit in, where it is based on their capability of literacy, where it is based on their capability of knowing of their knowledge itself, right? So also we're going to give a task towards the teacher itself, because the teacher is the one that would give the materials. That means they have to know what type of students that they are teaching to, so they would know how to deliver it, how do we know about these kids, right? So at the end, the school would know what teachers are going to what class, right? So at the end, it would also fit into a student's capability and also the teacher's standard of delivering the materials itself, right? So welcome to my argument. In my argument, I'm going to tell you about a justification on how the education purpose would be achieved under our side of the house. And secondly, I'm going to tell you how the school would how it would be easier for school to also arrange a new system, to also arrange the agenda towards the teacher itself, to get into what class. And thirdly, I'm going to tell you on practically how is it going to be effective for the education or to the education itself. And okay, going to the first one, how would we achieve the education purposes, right? And we would make them understand by getting a teacher that fits into their capability. It is as simple as, when you fit into someone that you love. It is something like teacher between the relationship between teacher and students are just like we are having a relationship between our girlfriend and boyfriend, and if we fit into them, then we are going to when we're going to be living happily. Therefore, we have to know what teachers that fits into them, right? When they get the teacher that fits into the student's capability, they would also get materials. They will also get materials in an equal way. They would all of them are going to know with the materials, because the teacher are also knowing that how they would deliver it to the students itself, right? And secondly, how it will be easier for the school itself to arrange it. First thing first, just like what I've told you in prior of our model, that we are going to we're going to give a test for all of the teacher, so that we would know what teacher are going to be in what class, right? So it is going to be easier because we are going to separate all of the students in a different place that is actually based on their capability. So therefore, we would also be it will be also be easy for us to check the progression of the students itself. Because why? Because we also have to know the progress of the students itself. So that we would know how are we going to act to the students. So at the end, when we are going to release all of the students, they will be prepared and they will be ready to be on a job vacancy that is meaningful for them. And thirdly, on a mechanism or the effectiveness. So firstly, there will be no disparity between the students itself. There will be no pressure and insecurity among the students, because when a stupid one are going to be in one place with the smart one, they would feel like I'm going to be beaten in this class. So what I'm gonna do is going to be useless at the end of the day, because I would be beaten by all of this. And secondly, the pressure when you are going to be placed in a low standard of literacy, capability of literacy. Therefore, there will be a shame pressure that I would I gotta get into a class where everyone are smart, so that my capability and my skills are going to be better at the end of the day. And this pressure would also give them such as things that would make them going to work harder than before, right? This is the thing that we also want to do. And thirdly, we also going to we're also going to set the curriculum based on their literacy skills. So at the end, they're going to know and they're going to understand the materials in a good way, in an equal way. And that's why we're so proud to propose. Thank you.
The world is developing very fast, and everything needed to change and adapt to the world's development as well as the human resources. For a nation that wants to progress, children are the potential successors and need to be sharpened to produce the future nation successors that are think forward and globally. In order to reach that, education is the most crucial thing. A good education system will encourage the children to evolve and develop quickly. In the future, there will be more strict requirements to access a better life, better jobs, and because of that, we need these people with life skill and specific academic performance, intelligence to be trained as soon as possible. So how we will define this motion? Okay, this motion means that we will classify the student based on their skill, and we believe that it's more efficient, effective rather than classify them by age. So what is this intelligence? Is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge. Yes, we agree that people have a different method or process on how they acquire and apply the knowledge, on how they will gain their intelligence and develop their intelligence. And because of that, we believe that this intelligence can change, and if everyone work hard for them, they can gain this intelligence. So what is our team stance in this debate? As the proposition side of the house, we want to fasten our chains to reach a good education quality. How the education quality can increase by this proposal? We believe that there is two main factors and important factors to reach that. First is the students, and the second is the teacher. And I will explain more in my argument. So what is our mechanism in this debate? We will watch over the students' potential every semester to know how significant their academical development, academical performance, their skill development, and we will change the assigned students to a different class if they develop more potential skill in other class after specific semester. For example, if the students after one semester found out she's better at sports, she can assign to a class B, which is in this class there are more people with sports talents. So as first speaker of the proposition side of the house, I will bring more justification about how justifiable if we arrange the students in the classroom based on their intelligence, and my second speaker will bring about more characterization and extension, and also comparison if we classify the student based on their intelligence and not classify them by the age. Okay. First argument, why is it justifiable to arrange the student based on their intelligence? First, we need to know there is a different needs of each student. We believe that people are born differently, with different talents, with different needs, and because of this classified classroom, we can develop their needs, we can develop their talents better, and we can maximize the potential at its best. Okay, because in this class we will provide them a specific teacher who is capable at their own specific teacher with best skills and suited for the class, and also specific education material, so the teacher and the students can focus to develop their skills and talents in that specific class. Second, a school can easily organize them and improve their skills based on their talents. Because there is this different and classified classroom, the school can improve their achievements. The school can focus on how maximize this student's potential at its best, And because of this classified classroom, for example, if this school wants the students to join a math competition, they will choose students from the class A. And if they want to join a sports competition, they will hire students from class B. Okay. And the third thing is that there will be competition. Why is it needed? The competition is needed because it will filter the students and motivate them to study harder because they want to fit into the class. They will believe that if they want to go to a good university, they want to reach their dream jobs, they will have a bigger chance to access all of that if they were assigned to a better academic class. And it's fair and it's good for the people who had the low academic preference in that school, because they will motivated to study harder, and they will believe that they can gain their own intelligence and they can train their own talents, because there will be a changing class in every semester, every end of the semester. Okay, so why is it okay for the competition? Based on the arguments, we will believe that there is a healthy competition and motivate the students, and there will be and it will make them adapt and learn that in the future they have to adapt with this kind of competition too in order to reach jobs and etc. etc. Second argument is how this proposal will change us to reach the good education quality. We will talk about who's beneficial from this proposal. First is the teacher. I mentioned that the teacher is one of the main factors that can support the good education quality, because the teacher is a specific role model for the students. The teacher have to learn and have a good capability to reach these special students. And in order to adapt with this kind of system, they will also learn harder and work harder. And because of that, the teacher can support the increase of the good education quality. They can focus to help the students, and they can easily do their jobs too, because they can focus on this specific classrooms. And the second thing is the students. The students are beneficial from this proposal because they can improve their capability. They can maximize their potential, and they also get a mental support and academic support from both the schools and the teachers, because they can access to a better competition. They will be proud and motivated because they produce an achievement to the school, and it's better. So what happened to people with low academic performance? Of course, they will be assigned to a class which is in there. The teacher will be easier to know what is lacking from these students, and they can develop and focusing on materials and theory about how to find their potential, their skills. And and because of our mechanism, there will be a changing system. We believe that these people with low academic performance can also assign to a better classified classroom after they found out their own skills. And that's what we proud to propose.
We live in a world where underperformed students are undermined, condemned, and marginalized, and the overachieving students are stuck and hindered from maximizing their potential. That's why we want to arrange students in classrooms based on their intelligence and academic performance rather on their age, also with the concern of ageism and bullying that's happening in the education in the world. 4 points of mechanism today. Firstly, we'll do an evaluation test after elementary school and after junior high school. That means it cannot be used as a selection method to pursue higher education. But thirdly, the standardized tests will be made according to each country's education system and curriculum. Thirdly, we'll test the academic capabilities such as social studies, math, science, but we're also going to test their scholastic potential tests, or TPS in Indonesia. But fourthly, we're also going to accommodate decent and qualified teachers to every classes. That means that we're not going to give or provide bad teachers in a lower rank class. That's unfair. One point of disclaimer, we don't think that students that have significantly less academic performance is unintelligent. We understand that some students are underperformed due to their environment, education system, or they have a lack of comprehension to certain subjects. Two things I'm going to talk about. Firstly, on how the system have been disenfranchising underperformed students, but secondly, how it's going to be helpful for students and teachers to excel in their subjects. First argument on how it has been disenfranchising students. Underperformed students are badly left behind in their studies, and they lack years of education. They get left behind for years in high school. They get to high school at the age of 18, for example, as opposed to 13 or 14. This is because in developing countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Latin American countries, there are children that skip school for two reasons. Firstly, they live in poverty, which means they have to help support their family's financial situation. That's to also work and get blue-collar jobs, or that this means that they don't have time or energy to study. But there are also students from middle to low class who cannot afford tutors even if they can go to school. They cannot afford extra classes such as intern or BTA to help their studies. So it's very much for them hard to get to higher education or to comprehend lessons. But secondly, there are students who have lesser cognitive capabilities, which means they have difficulties to comprehend like simple or like too complicated situations and concepts such as math or biology and chemistry and whatnot. These students are also afraid to ask questions because of the pressure that they have, meaning that they are afraid to ask help from friends or their teachers from fear of being judged. They are scared that they're alone, that they are the ones who don't understand the subject and the others and the smarter ones do. Second layer, on how status quo government have failed to provide inclusivity and accessibility in education. Some of us are very fortunate that we can get free public school in Jakarta. Unfortunately, the vast majority of students in the world can't afford that luxury. Two reasons why. Firstly, there are the ones who cannot afford to pay the tuition, which means that students who have a huge trade-off the moment they choose to go to school, which means they have to take loans and their parents will be burdened with this kind of thing. Their parents have to work 3 jobs on a day, for example. They themselves have to work to afford lunch money and food. But secondly, there are little to no accessibility. The scenario happens in rural areas such as in borders of countries or like rural areas such as in Borneo Islands and in Papua. And it's because of the lack of infrastructure, like as basic as roads, bridges, or mass transportation to transport them from their homes to their school. This is the reason why there's a lot of children who drop out of school. They're overwhelmed. They are tired and exhausted by the stigma. They are exhausted by the burden of paying tuition and whatnot. And the problem here is that it's unfair that these kids who got dropped out or quit and fail to graduate gets condemned and marginalized in the society and gets the stigma that they're lazy or they don't like education and whatnot. This is what we don't want to happen in status quo. Moving on to my second argument, how this will help students and teachers to improve their performance. We understand that teachers can be overwhelmed with the workload that they have to do. We also understand that they have a limited attention span to their students. The problem here is that it's very hard to accommodate students' needs. 3 reasons why. Firstly, understand that the same age of student does not mean that they have the same academic performance. There are older students who need extra attention to understand simple mathematical questions. But there are also younger students who can understand a few-minute lecture from their teacher and can go on to another lesson. This means that it's going to be very hard and saturated for the children to focus on each student because they have to cater to 15 to 30 students in each class. But secondly, teachers have the pressure to improve students' performance. The pressure comes in status quo from school rankings, standardized tests, college admission rate, and whatnot. If they fail to teach these students and improve or make the students become excellent students, which means if their students fail the test, fail the class, can't graduate, the teachers are the one who will be punished and condemned. Meanwhile, it's possible to try to comprehend all children with different performances to become excellent students. That's why a lot of teachers try to only adhere to some students who have a potential to go to college, for example, students who have easier comprehension and whatnot. But thirdly, bullying and seniority. This is the concern that worsens the circumstances because now school's attention is distracted to eradicate bullying because of the different age and classes like sophomore, juniors, and seniors, as opposed to focusing on creating the best method or creating the best education system in their school. This is why we want to propose that we should arrange student classrooms with academic performance rather than the age and apply our model in the status quo. The result of this model is then firstly, teachers can adjust their teaching method in each class. This means that in high performance classes, they can go through lectures and materials much faster. Students can study more efficiently and they can do much complicated homework, for example. They can ask complicated questions without being scared that they will demotivate their friends that are less in their academic performance. Now they can ask very good questions on their subjects. They can know details of the subjects and whatnot. But B, teachers can focus on the underperformed students without the pressure to adhere to the others. That means that they can adjust to make a more understandable concepts and simple concepts and complicated concepts understandable for students who are underperformed. But secondly, these teachers can adjust their motivational words during lectures. So firstly, they can talk about Ivy League or like a very high achieving college that don't give pressure to the underperformed students because they don't feel like or they feel insecure because of it. But secondly, now they can talk about and motivate underperformed students to inspire them and whatnot without having to ignore the high achieving students. Now they can adhere to the underperformed students and motivate them without having to demotivate them by talking about Ivy League or high performing college. But thirdly, there will be no ageism, ladies and gentlemen. This means that they can treat others, even younger and older, with more respect. How is it likely? Because when the age is more saturated and not the academic performance, they have no choice but to get to know each other and work in group projects and go through several years at class together. That means they have to communicate, they have to talk about their assignments, they have to talk about their projects and whatnot. This means that they have a higher chance of communication instead of in status quo, where it's very saturated with there's junior, sophomore, and senior, where the communication is limited to extracurricular activities, for example. Now, in status quo with our motion, they will gain much more respect to each other regardless of their age. They will gain more perspective of the idea of being left behind in school, for example. Oh yes, I'm older than you, but I'm left behind. It's because ABC. And it will open much more perspective to other students. That's why we beg to propose.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, our dearest educators. I hope everyone who's watching this are healthy and happy. My name is Diaslena Rushda from the 30th Senior High School in Central Jakarta, Jakarta. And today, I'm standing here as the Prime Minister of the motion, this House will arrange students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than their age. I would like to define the word students. Students is a person who is studying at a school or college, while the word intelligence means the ability to acquire and to apply knowledge and skills. I would like to recognize some of the actors that are responsible to this motion. Now, there are students, of course, they are the main actor in this motion. The second one is the teacher, as someone who's responsible to the classroom and for the students. And the last one is the parents, as the party who is liable to the children. Students came from various of background, different family, different ability, different brain, different environment, different IQ, and of course, different intelligence. So to categorize students based only on their age seems unfair, since there are so many other factors that I mentioned earlier that could affect their ability to receive information, to receive learning, to receive knowledge. So by that fact, arranging the students based on their intelligence would be suitable for the classroom. Categorizing the students based only on their age doesn't seem to fit anymore. Since we saw it on TV, on magazine, on other platform of news, that there's so many young children out there, they're already going to college or already infanting something in an early age. Like, I could mention Eugene de Silva. She's only 16 years old, and now she is completing her master in liberal arts at Harvard University. Or I could say Joshua Beckford, the youngest kid that ever studied in Oxford University. He had an autism, and he's only 6 years old when he got into Oxford for specialists. He taught and now fluent at Japanese, and he also got a certificate course for philosophy and history, and now he had his own TED Talk. It is a proof that age isn't matter anymore. By arranging students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance, it helps students to focus. It helps the teacher to recognize every single student's ability and inability. Students that seems lack in some subject could be mastering another subject that the teacher doesn't recognize before, because the judgment only based on the age. While there are so many genius children out there, like I mentioned earlier, there's also some less intelligent students that are already teenagers or an adult or maybe still children. Arranging them based on their intelligence and academic performance could help them to get the attention, to get the treatment, to get the right way for them to understand the material, the knowledge, the information in a way that is suitable for every student. Because I believe that every student matters. There is no stupid children. There is no an idiot students. The problem is not on the students. They just didn't find the right subject. They didn't find the right field for them. And by arranging the classroom based on their intelligence and their capability, it not only helping them to find a better way to understand a material, it also helping them to find a joy of learning, because they learn in something they love. They learn in a way that they understanding it. Like, because when you're already 7 years old, you should be capable in this and this and this. Because you're already 17 years old, you should be capable in this and this and this. That is not how intelligence works. We have a various type of intelligence. We have a various type of ability that students have, and that should be recognized by the student, by the teacher. That they should got a different treatment. They should got a different way to understand, to a different way to teach these students. If the students got the treatment they need, the students got the way of teaching they need, it could help them to recognize their ability, to recognize their own field. So they could focus on it, so they could developing it, so they could expanding it. And we could create a whole generation that master on their own capability, on their own favorite, on their own field. Therefore, we're not only taking our country to a better era, but also a happier era. Thank you so much for all of your attention. My name is Tiasna Rushda. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Education is not a process of filling an empty container, but a process of starting a fire. And age does not become a barrier to one's abilities. WB Yats. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable the Adjudicators, the Honorable Moderator as the Debat Net Supervisor, Timekeepers, Opposition Teams, Affirmative Team which I excel from the start, and the beloved audience. Good morning everybody. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Filzaferlina Pare. I'm from Senior High School number 3, Prabu Muli, South Sumatra. Today, I as first speaker of government teams. In my solo debate today, I will elaborate definition of our today's motion, present the timeline or limitation of our today's motion, present the background of our today's motion, and present the argument why our team agree with our today's motion. Dear adjudicators, ladies and gentlemen, our today's motion is this house will arrange students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, let me give definition of our today's motion. There are 4 keywords of our today's motion. First is arrange. Arrange is a policy established by an institutional body which aims to be obeyed and implemented by members of the institution. The second is intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. And the third keyword is academic performance. Academic performance is a change in behavioral skills or abilities in learning situation. And the fourth is age. Age is the length of time that a person has lived or a thing has existed. Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the limitation of our today's motion. The limitation of our today's motion is this house will arrange senior high school students in classroom based on their intelligence academic performance rather than on their age. Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, based on our limitation today's and our today's motion, the background is, as we know, in senior high school student, every student already have age 15 until 18 years old. How is the situation already showing child development or student development, where a student will acquire in learning according to the existing rules in a school. So, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, if there are students who's more intelligent or have a more academic performance is more than other student, the other student will be able to follow this more intelligent student because they are motivated by the environment around them or the friends around them. And so, like my quotes in the first, age does not prevent students from developing. Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, now I will elaborate the argument why I agree with our today's motion. There are 3 points. The first point is the school point of view. The second point is based on the search I have read, and if we see on teacher point of view, and the last point of view is if we see in age point of view. Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, let me elaborate the school point of view from my argument. In the school point of view, there are a positive effect if we apply this regulation that arrange senior high school students in classroom based on their intelligence on academic performance rather than their age. This is reinforced by another assumption that high potential students will compete with each other. And this competition in school is the positive to stimulate the student achievement. And next, based on compasiana.com, if we see on teacher point of view, causing those with high academic potential cannot develop optimally because the teacher will provide service that can also be understood by students with low potential. It is clear from this view that apply student grouping or based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age, especially for senior high school students, make it easy for teachers to carry out learning accordance with context of student. Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, let's we move on to age point of view. Okay, in age point of view, it doesn't matter if this rules is used because in the age period of student at senior high school from 15 years old until 18 years old, it can be ascertained that this student can take lesson in accordance with the school regulation that arrange senior high school students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. So, dear educators, ladies and gentlemen, I, as the first speaker of government teams, 100% agree with our today's motion that this house will arrange senior high school students in classroom based on their intelligence and academic performance rather than on their age. So, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, that's all my argument. I hope you also stand with my argument today, and thank you for your good attention. I'm sorry if there is mistake. I hope Allah forgive me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody.
Have you ever heard about bilingual class? This class is filled by high intelligence students. This class uses two different languages in every subject, national language and international language. In Indonesia, the national language that we learn is Bahasa Indonesia, and the international one is English. To be in this class, it's not easy because the students must have a good academic performance. Then they will be placed in the same class with students who have the same intelligence with them regardless of age. Then, would arranging students in class based on their intelligence and academic performance be a great solution for education in Indonesia? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable educators, timekeeper, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, my name is Nabila Putri Deviani Kurnia from SMA Negeri 26 Bandung as the first speaker of affirmative team. According to the motion, this house would arrange students in classrooms based on their intelligence and academic performance rather on their age. I would like to deliver my arguments in agreement with today's motion. Basically, every student have a different potentials, but they might have the same academic performance since all the subjects are studied same. Then, why are they the terms smart and stupid in a class? It might be the cause of their different intelligences. From that, we agree that arranging students based on their intelligence and academic performance can be a great solution. Here are the reasons. The first reason, it would be a challenge for them to compete with other students that have the same intelligence, and of course, it will increase their enthusiasm to get the best score in class. Second, they will discover new abilities from associating with people from different backgrounds. As I mentioned earlier, They have a different potentials, but only have the same academic, so they are placed in one class. Third, it will be fair to compete with people with the same ability as them. So, there are no huge gaps between students who have academics grade that not as good as other students. Fourth, age is just a number. There is no evidence that students of the same age have the same intelligence. It could be the younger one is the smarter, or the older one is the smarter. So arranging students based on their age is ridiculous because it doesn't have a big impact in education. Fifth, or last, following to the fourth statement, many examples of age doesn't determine a person's intelligence. First, there is Diki. He is 12 years old from Indonesia and he went to college at that age. And there's Rendra, also from Indonesia, that got his doctorate at age of 24 years old. I think that's all for me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.